We think of AI as weightless.
Yeah.
Just code in the cloud. But, the cloud is actually heavy. In fact, for OpenAI, it is currently an $18 billion headache.
Yeah, it's incredibly heavy, and the physical limits of that cloud are really starting to buckle.
Right.
So today, we have a massive roadmap ahead of us for this deep dive with you.
Exactly. We're looking at 3 distinct fronts where digital ambition is just colliding with harsh reality.
Right. First, we're breaking down OpenAI's $18 billion physical infrastructure standoff. Then, we'll explore the new human safety net OpenAI is quietly installing amid some very serious lawsuits.
And finally, we'll take a rapid-fire tour of the expanding AI frontier, covering everything from real-time translators to Google's new health coach.
Let's start with that physical limit, because OpenAI is fighting to build this physical infrastructure since they want superintelligence to scale infinitely.
Yeah, but building software is like stacking Lego blocks of data. You write code, you compile, you test. It feels clean.
It is clean, but it's purely theoretical until it actually has to run on a physical machine.
Right, and building power plants and specialized data centers is an entirely different, messier game. We're looking at a project from OpenAI codenamed Project Nexus.
Yeah, and the core of this project is a custom chip they're calling Jalapeno, which is a great name, by the way.
It really is. But to understand why this is a crisis, we have to look at the mechanics of how ChatGPT actually works. Right now, they rely on standard NVIDIA GPUs.
Which, they are undeniably powerful. And NVIDIA GPU has billions of transistors designed for massive parallel processing.
Right.
They're built to do a million different things at once, whether that's rendering a high-end video game or simulating weather patterns or, training an AI model. They are generalists.
But when I type a prompt into ChatGPT, the model isn't training anymore. It's performing inference. It's just predicting the next word over and over again.
Exactly. So
using a massive general-purpose NVIDIA GPU just to predict text is like using a freight train to deliver a single pizza.
Yep.
Power waste is astronomical.
That is a perfect way to put it. And the burn rate is really the defining metric here.
Yeah.
Because of that inefficiency, the financial projections in our sources show OpenAI burning over $200 billion through 2029.
Wow. $200 billion.
Yeah. To survive, they desperately need Jalapeno. These are specialized inference chips where the physical silicon pathways are literally hardwired for the specific math equations that generate text.
So anything else is stripped out, saving massive amounts of power and money.
Exactly.
But to build these Jalapeno chips and the facilities to house them, OpenAI needs a partner. And Broadcom is willing to step up and finance the first phase.
But the scale of this is hard to wrap your head around. We are talking about a 1.3 gigawatt power phase.
To put that into perspective, 1.3 gigawatts is roughly the output of a standard nuclear reactor.
It's wild. It is enough electricity to power a mid-sized city. Just imagine routing all the electricity of a city like San Francisco into a single concrete facility just to run software.
It's staggering. Broadcom will front the $18 billion for this, but with a massive condition.
Right.
They will only do it if Microsoft agrees to buy 40% of the initial batch. And right now, Microsoft refuses to sign.
And this is where the strategy diverges. Microsoft's entire business model is built on renting out compute to thousands of different businesses through Azure. They want versatile data centers. They need facilities that can run Office 365 in the morning, host cloud servers in the afternoon, and run general AI models at night.
So Microsoft wants a Swiss Army knife because they serve the entire enterprise market, while OpenAI wants a specialized scalpel.
Right, a chip entirely optimized for their own superintelligence timeline.
And that architectural clash is stalling the $18 billion.
Yeah, it highlights a harsh truth for the whole industry. You can't just patch a concrete foundation or a copper power grid over the weekends.
No, you definitely can't.
Microsoft is looking at this 1.3 gigawatt facility and realizing that if OpenAI's specific flavor of AI ever becomes obsolete, Microsoft is stuck with a nuclear-powered building full of useless chips.
A building that can't even host a standard website. So looking at this, who actually has the upper hand in this standoff?
Well, Microsoft holds the capital and the infrastructure leverage, but OpenAI holds the core algorithmic technology that Microsoft's future products depend on. Microsoft can afford to wait. OpenAI, burning cash every day, really cannot.
So Microsoft protects their downside, while OpenAI chases survival.
That is exactly it. And that friction is redefining how fast we can actually reach the next generation of AI.
So OpenAI is fighting to build physical infrastructure because they want superintelligence to scale infinitely. But there is a hard limit to that scale that has absolutely nothing to do with microchips or power grids.
Right, and it's human psychology. Which brings us to our second topic today, the human safety net.
Let's talk about the legal fallout of an AI acting like a therapist. The legal filings reveal a profoundly heavy situation.
Yeah, they do. Families are suing OpenAI, alleging that ChatGPT, in certain instances, helped users plan self-harm.
And we are looking at these source claims neutrally, of course. But the core allegation is that the AI simulated empathy without taking any real-world action to intervene.
Which is a huge issue. Silicon Valley has historically treated emotional fallout as an edge case. But at this scale, edge cases affect millions of people.
Right. So OpenAI's response to this is a new feature called Trusted Contact. It is a fascinating attempt to bridge the digital and physical world.
It really is. And it's completely optional for adult users. You go into your settings and name a specific friend or family member.
And if your conversation with ChatGPT flags a serious safety risk regarding self-harm, the algorithm shifts gears.
It pauses the normal conversational flow and immediately provides crisis hotlines and resources. But behind the scenes, a timer starts.
Because a human safety team at OpenAI actually reviews the flagged incident. They claim their goal is to review these in under 1 hour.
And if that human reviewer confirms the risk is genuine, the system sends an automated text or email to your designated trusted contact,
letting them know you might be in crisis. But crucially, they do not send any chat logs.
No, the contact doesn't see what you typed. It is purely an alert mechanism.
But let's look at the philosophical implications of this. Is this effectively just a corporate shield?
How do you mean?
Well, by offloading the final check-in to a user's brother or best friend, OpenAI creates a paper trail. If the worst happens, their legal team can point to the server logs and say, well, we tried to tell someone.
Yeah, that critique is incredibly valid. Legal experts are pointing out that this might absolve the company of liability while doing very little to manage an immediate real-time crisis.
Because if you're relying on a human reviewer to read a log, and then relying on a brother to check his phone and drive over to an apartment, I mean, an hour is an eternity in a crisis.
It's an absolute eternity. It also serves as a massive admission regarding the limits of the technology. They have 920 million weekly users.
Right, and ChatGPT can mimic human warmth flawlessly. It uses casual language, remembers your past conversations. It says, I am here for you.
But it is definitively not a therapist. It lacks the actual human context, the intuition, and the real-world agency to truly manage emotional fallout.
So Silicon Valley is realizing that a routing algorithm cannot solve a human empathy problem. They need human infrastructure just as badly as they need server infrastructure.
Exactly.
Which brings us back to the core question. Does this feature actually solve their core safety problem?
It establishes a legal defense mechanism by bringing a human into the loop, but it fundamentally does not fix the unpredictable nature of large language models.
It shields their future, but doesn't erase their past.
Precisely. And navigating that past is going to take years in the courts.
We are going to take a very quick break.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And we are back. While OpenAI plays defense against physical limits and legal battles, the rest of the AI ecosystem is sprinting in every possible direction.
The velocity right now is just staggering. Let's dive into a rapid-fire look at the expanding frontier, starting with a massive shift in open-source funding over in China.
Right. Moonshot AI just raised $2 billion at a $20 billion valuation.
Which is wild.
To justify that kind of number for an open-source company feels almost like a bubble until you look at their revenue.
They reportedly hit $200 million in annual recurring revenue, or ARR. That is a breathtaking number for an open-source model.
But how does an open-source model achieve that kind of revenue so fast? I thought the whole point of open source was that it's free.
Well, the code is free, but the enterprise implementation is not. Businesses globally are, realizing they want to run AI models locally.
I see.
They don't want to send their proprietary financial data or customer logs to OpenAI servers. Moonshot's Kimi models are cheap, highly capable, and can be run securely on-premise.
So that $200 million in revenue proves there is undeniable global demand for alternatives to the big American tech giants. It proves the frontier is not just a Western game anymore.
Definitely not. And speaking of the frontier, Anthropic is making aggressive moves to capture the developer market. The Claude-managed agents just received 4 major upgrades.
Let's define the jargon here for a second. Agents are smart software that do multi-step tasks for you.
Right. Think of a standard AI as a calculator. You ask a question, you get an answer. An agent is more like an intern. You give it a goal, like Research these 5 companies and build a spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
And it autonomously browses the web, gathers data, formats it, and checks its own work.
I have to admit, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself. When I try to get an AI to stay on a complex workflow, by step 4, it completely forgets the specific formatting rules I gave it in step 1.
Oh, absolutely. Prompt drift degrades the memory of the agent, and it's basically the biggest bottleneck in the industry right now.
Yeah.
But Anthropic is solving this by massively expanding their context limits and aggressively removing friction for developers. They just doubled the 5-hour usage limits for all paid Claude Code users.
They also completely removed peak hour restrictions and significantly increased their Opus API rate limits.
Basically, they're telling enterprise builders, you can run as many complex multi-step tasks as you want, and our servers will not throttle you.
They're opening the floodgates, trying to make Claude the default operating system for automated work. But while Anthropic targets the enterprise, Google is entering the personal wellness space in a very intimate way.
Yeah, on May 19th, they're launching a new AI health coach for $9.99 a month.
This is a huge leap from simply tracking your daily steps. This system deeply integrates into your life.
It analyzes your sleep architecture, tracks your workout intensity, and monitors your stress levels in real time using biometric data.
It takes all that live data and gives you personalized health advice on the fly. If your heart rate variability drops, it might suggest a specific breathing exercise right before a meeting.
The intimacy of an algorithm knowing your physiological stress before you even consciously register it, that is a profound shift in consumer tech.
It really is. And on the topic of profound shifts, OpenAI just dropped a massive update to their API that fundamentally changes human communication, real-time voice translation.
This update now supports over 70 input languages. But the real breakthrough is the latency.
Right. Previous translators required you to speak, pause for like 3 seconds while the audio uploaded, transcribed, translated, synthesized, and then finally played back.
This new model does it almost instantaneously during a live call. It listens and generates the translated audio concurrently, perfectly mimicking the cadence and flow of a human interpreter.
Whoa. Imagine scaling instant real-time translation in 70 languages.
Right, and integrating it seamlessly into every global business call, every hospital, every border crossing. The friction of language is just dissolving in front of us.
But of course, with rapid innovation comes intense human drama. We are seeing deep internal fractures spilling out into the public.
Yeah, the former CTO of OpenAI recently spoke out, and her statements are now tied to Elon Musk's ongoing lawsuit against the company.
The legal filings paint a picture of a leadership team in chaos. She accused Sam Altman of lying to the board about safety reviews and fostering a culture of rapid deployment over careful testing.
Whether those claims hold up in court remains to be seen, but that internal tension exists right alongside terrifying new capabilities.
For instance, ChatGPT just released a new image generation model that makes fake screenshots almost impossible to spot.
Previously, AI struggled with rendering crisp, accurate text inside of images.
Right.
If you asked for a fake screenshot of a news article or a text message conversation, the font would look slightly warped or misspelled.
Not anymore. The visual fidelity of these new generated fakes is absolutely flawless. The pixels align perfectly. The fonts are exact matches for iOS or Twitter UI.
If you still believe every screenshot you see online, you need to change your mindset today. We are entering a whole new era of digital verification where we simply cannot trust our own eyes anymore.
We really can't. To wrap up this rapid-fire section, let's look at 3 quick, empowered AI tools that caught our eye this week, which really show how these capabilities are trickling down to specific industries.
First is Claude Agents for financial services. Anthropic just dropped 10 pre-built templates specifically for banking.
This includes agents that automate investment research, month-end close accounting, and KYC screening,
which is the Know Your Customer background check banks legally mandate to prevent money laundering.
Automating KYC alone saves financial institutions millions of hours of manual document review. Then there is Flow Market.
This platform is wild. It's essentially a network of AI agents that autonomously discover, match, and generate B2B deals.
Instead of a human sales team cold calling companies, these agents scrape corporate data, identify a mutual need, draft the proposal, and negotiate the initial terms.
It bypasses the need for massive human outreach entirely, fundamentally changing how businesses procure services.
And finally, Lingo.dev released version 1 of their software. It helps product teams build consistent AI translations.
It enforces brand voice rules across dozens of languages and handles all the localization coding automatically.
With all this rapid agent innovation and specialized tooling flooding the market, how can legacy models possibly compete?
Legacy models can't rely on raw intelligence alone. They must build physical moats and specialized hardware ecosystems because the software advantage is just evaporating.
The real battle is shifting from software to hardware ecosystems.
Absolutely.
Let's take a step back. We have covered a massive amount of ground today, from gigawatt power grids to personal health coaches.
When you look at the entire landscape, a very clear central theme emerges.
We are hitting the absolute limits of the AI honeymoon phase. We've spent the last 2 years marveling at the magic tricks.
Right. The flawless poems, the instantaneous code generation, the seemingly weightless cloud.
But the magic trick is over, and we are now crashing into reality on 3 separate fronts. First, physical grid limits.
The $18 billion Jalapeno chip standoff proves that you cannot just wish a gigawatt of power into existence. Microsoft and OpenAI are fighting over real estate, concrete, and copper.
Second, we're crashing into complex human psychological boundaries. The trusted contact feature is a sobering realization for Silicon Valley.
Yeah, AI can flawlessly simulate empathy, but it cannot shoulder actual human liability. When someone is in crisis, an algorithm is not enough. It requires a human safety net.
And finally, we're crashing into the sheer velocity of global competition. Moonshot AI pulling $200 million in revenue shows that the open source community is not waiting for permission.
The frontier is expanding faster than any single regulatory body or company can control.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? We want you to consider how these macro shifts are already touching your daily digital boundaries.
Are you relying on cloud tools that might suddenly change their pricing models because their hardware burn rate is completely unsustainable?
Are your personal and professional boundaries secure against flawless AI-generated fake screenshots?
The physical world and the digital world are colliding right now, and the shockwaves are going to dictate how we work and interact over the next 5 years.
If a multi-billion-dollar AI still needs a human to review a crisis, at what point does superintelligence still rely entirely on us?